Hey guys, welcome back to the 3G Family Network. Today we'll be taking you to Jamaica for the red carpet premiere of the Bob Marley One Love movie. We'll be looking at the fashion on the red carpet, we'll be looking at some of the interviews, and we'll be reacting to this video right after this. Wow. So the first thing that comes to mind watching that video is black excellence. Like just seeing those beautiful people on the red carpet, you know, being a Jamaican, like, man, I wish I wish I was there, you know, like it's like this homesick feeling, like wishing I was there, even if I couldn't make it on the red carpet, just being in Jamaica with this happening, like, would be so amazing. And, you know, I've said it numerous times. I do not think Jamaicans give the Marleys enough respect. Every time I get a chance to say it, you know, I can stay on the mountaintops and say it all the time. I do not think Jamaicans give the Marleys due respect, because Paramount Pictures, it's a big movie company. They're the one that's responsible for this production. And I'm sure if the Marleys were not as involved in this movie as we saw, like, you know, Ziggy Marley and Cedella Marley being so involved, being in the director's seat and helping to produce this movie, this premiere would not be in Jamaica. That red carpet premiere would have been in Hollywood somewhere. So just to see, you know, the island that I love so much, that, you know, like, see people flying from all over the world come to Jamaica to be on a red carpet for this premiere just gives me, you know, butterfly in my stomach, you know. So, and as I said again, I don't think that Jamaicans give the Marley enough respect, and, you know, that is the Marley. You know, like, if they weren't as involved, I guarantee you this would be in Hollywood. And just to see, you know, my old stomping ground, like Carib Theater, right there, and to see, you know, the staging and everything, the red carpet, it just make me proud, you know, as a Jamaican, and that's the first thing that stood out to me. Yes, and the second thing that stood out to me is that overhead drone shot from Carib Theater. As I said, you know, that's my old stomping ground. Like, we have been going to Carib Theater since I was like 7, 8 years old. Carib Theater is one of the oldest theater in the Caribbean. It was built in 1938, and it was destroyed in the late 90s. It was a huge theater. I remember as a child, like, we used to line up for like sometimes 5 hours, like on a holiday to go see a movie. Sometimes we'd get there and the line is so long, and we'd be in the line and the movie would start, and we'd have to just stay in the line to line up for the next movie in the sun. And it just brings back memories from like over 30 years ago, So that was another thing that stood out. And just that, because it was destroyed by fire in the 90s, and at the time it was like this huge theater, and they renovated and they turn it into what we now know as Carib 5, with 5 smaller theaters. And a lot of movie theaters in the Caribbean did not survive, the cable era, now, like, from satellite to cable to now Netflix, so to see that drone shot with the red carpet and to see the premiere happening there just, gave me this nostalgic feeling. And, as I said, like, it was my old stomping ground, like in like about a 3-mile radius. There was like 3 movie theaters from halfway tree to Crossroads. There was like a theater called Odeon in halfway tree that was like a roofless theater. There was no roof, and that's the theater that you'd go to, like, if you're going on a date and you have a little bit of money, like, that's where you would go. But you could take your girl to that movie theater and you could just say, you know what, this is romantic. We can just look up in the sky and see the stars. You don't have to tell her that you're broke, because you're just sitting in the movie theater and you're just looking up and you can see millions of stars in the sky. And it was just so amazing. But unfortunately, like most of those movie theaters, I think that one is now one of the main bus park in Kingston. There's a second one that became like this big supermarket. So, just to see Carib Theater surviving after like almost 90 years, that stood out to me as well. And yeah, so after this, we'll take a look at some of the interviews on the red carpet, and I'll give you my reaction right after this.
February, I like that. I like the sound of that, man. It's amazing. It's a great date for us, and I'm really excited by that. To be here with the people of Jamaica, our cast, our crew. We shot here in Jamaica. We shot in Trenchtown. Amazing to share it with them, share it with the Marley family. This movie's a gift. It's a real blessing to be a part of it. We focus on a period of time of musical creation, musical genius. Bob went into overdrive and he created one of the greatest albums of the 20th century. So we focus on that period of time to show people the man behind the music, or at least a window into his life. And look, can't ever tell a person's life in 2 hours, but we tried to show you enough that encapsulates, and I think we found the right window to do that. Of course, I was a fan, a big fan, a huge fan. In our household, it was just a staple. It was like something that you had to have. And so hearing that music, but I think what was interesting about making this movie was trying to understand the lyrics in a way that I never heard them before. And that was a deeper understanding for me in going through the process of making this movie. So I hope we bring audiences closer to the lyrics of the music. When you put incredible actors in the room, they're searching for the truth, they're searching for the authenticity, and they're searching for the real true meaning of why they're making this story. And so they both dug deep in order to deliver that. I know that Kingsley had a whole camp set up in order to transform into Bob, and what a magnificent job he does. But together was finding that core relationship. So to have that access, you can get those performances nuanced. And I think we were just very fortunate and blessed to have that access. From day one, Ziggy was on the call that brought me onto this project as a producer. So I'm so grateful to him personally, the whole Marley family, Sedella, Rita, Stephen, everybody that I met to help, champion this film. They gave us access. They gave us their truth. And that's That's all I could ask for. I hope it's an inspiration for the next generation of people that don't know Bob Marley, for my kids, for my sons, that will get to see that and learn about him and his life and learn about Rita and her life. It's an amazing opportunity for people, but everyone will take something different. I know they'll laugh, they'll cry. There's a lot of joy in the film. It's a spirited movie with a big heart.
Okay, so what is interesting with this first interview is that I remember when the original trailer for the movie came out last summer, like a lot of people were giving their opinions. A lot of Jamaicans were talking about it. And one of the main things is that why is it whenever like Jamaica is featured like on the big stage in terms of the movie, in the movie industry, that we always have like foreign actors and actresses leading out. And people were talking about why couldn't one of the Marleys play their dad and stuff like that. And, you know, in my reaction to the original, not the original trailer, but the official movie trailer, like I gave a breakdown of my opinion. And so it's good to see coming out now, you know, on the red carpet, and as we're seeing more about this film, that as I said, the Marleys don't get enough credit. Trenchtown, you know, this movie could have been filmed in London, could have been filmed in Hollywood. These big movie production houses, they have like spaces that they could create, like with a green screen, they could create like any parts of Jamaica, but they didn't do that. They came to Jamaica. They filmed in Trenchtown. When you look on the red carpet, you see a lot of Jamaicans that were actors and actresses in this movie. So, you know, I think people got a bit upset too early, but what my takeaway from the red carpet is that a lot of Jamaicans were involved in this film. We see a lot of close friends to Bob Marley, some of the backup singers for, you know, Bob Marley and the Wailers, that they are Jamaicans that got the opportunity to play those backup singers, to play, you know, a big part in this film. The fact that it was filmed in Trenchtown, a part of it was filmed in Trenchtown, and you know, Trenchtown has gone through some tough times, like especially after Bob Marley's death. Like, you know, there are periods in the 90s and so, like, where Trenchtown was like a war zone, you know, and I've had the opportunity to spend some time in Trenchtown and even to go by where Bob Marley grew up. And even today, like if you should just walk in Trenchtown, like today, it's like it's sad, you know. That's where the legend came from, but they have gone through some tough times. So to see the Marleys, every opportunity that they get to try and uplift Trenchtown, like, you know, think of Jay-Z and Beyonce walking the street of Trenchtown. Think of Prince Harry. A lot of the royal visits, when they come to Jamaica, Trenchtown is one of the places that, you know, they stop. So, you know, I think as Jamaicans now, we can calm down a bit and realize that, you know, as I said earlier, this film, the premiere could have been in London. You know, financially, it probably would have made more sense, you know, with the millions of people that they could reach, premiering and doing the red carpet in London or in Hollywood. But because of the Marleys, they did it in Jamaica. And so I think we should give them credit for that. And, that is what stood out to me in this interview, that, like Jamaicans and Jamaica played a big part in this film. And I think as Jamaicans, we can be proud.
But there's also a love story involved in it too. So that day is the day of love, so we think it's the appropriate time. We have to pay respect to the culture and the homeland, yeah? And for Bob, this is the most appropriate thing. We want to make sure we explore a side of Bob that has not been explored. We want to make sure the spirituality was strong and that the different sides of him we showed. Humorous side, fearful side, violent side, jealous side, all different sides, They're both powerful actors. And like my father and my mother, they had a mutual respect for each other. And like the same intention in what they were doing. It brings up me thinking about what my father went through that he didn't show emotionally. The circumstances that he went through that period of time were life-changing circumstances. It wasn't regular life. And so I wonder, doing the movie made me wonder how it affected him on the inside, So that's how I think about that. Something you thought about.
Okay, so I would say this interview so far, Ziggy Marley on the red carpet, is the most interesting interview of the night so far. It is so interesting because, Ziggy Marley is one of the producers. He's on the set all the time. And he was on the set all the time. And what I'm getting from his interview is almost like he was reliving what happened in his dad's life. Being on the set was like reliving it. And he was also learning, because at the time when Bob Marley was, between 1976 to the time of his death, when he was going through all of these stuff, when he was pretty much one of the most powerful person in the world, Ziggy Marley was like a child, like he wouldn't have understand the magnitude, the pressure that his dad would have been facing, having to exile Jamaica after being, shot, attempt on his life, having to exile Jamaica for a while, having to come back for that peace concert. He wouldn't have been old enough to understand everything. So you can see like doing this movie, it's like him reliving and learning from those people who are like Bob's friends who were, there to kind of make sure that the film itself is authentic. And so I found that very interesting. And, I think whenever there's like a superstar, like someone to the magnitude of a Bob Marley, like it's for their kids, it's a difficult task to walk in their shadow. And I would say like Ziggy Marley, Stephen Marley, Damian Marley, Kimani, like, the ones that we know, Cedella Marley, because a lot of his kids are private, have their private life, but the ones that are public, we look at them and we have to respect them, because it would have been easy to be lost in the shadow of your dad. Like we've seen like superstars with their kids just, explode in front of us, like be involved with drugs and alcohol and, living like a reckless life. But I think it's safe to say like the Marleys have held their own. And I think, Bob Marley would be proud of his kids, so that's what I took away from that interview, that, Ziggy Marley, like, it's like he's reliving, like being on the set every day is like, he's just reliving his dad's life. And I found that very interesting.
Tap into something a little bit higher, you know, and yeah, his message, to re-engage with the message of the music and his lyrics, really, you know, and to hear what he's saying. I think it's a really great moment for the movie to come out. Bob's he's not simple. There's a huge backstory there, and I want to make sure that I understood all of it. But it's not just Bob. It's anytime I take a role, I want to work, you know what I mean? You got to go to work. And then when you start studying Bob, you realize he's on working. So, like, if you want to get into Bob's character, you have to understand that man was on work. He was a grafter. And his whole life was about music and creating music, and the energy he put into creating them songs that we all now get to enjoy. We get to receive the benefits of his genius and his creation. So you just got to get up and get on it. Get up and get on it and do the work, and just trust that all of the Jamaican cast, all of the family, all of Bob's friends, all the love they put into this and all of the belief they put into the project. Like, this was a communal thing, you know. I've never been a part of a project where the creation of something was to do with everyone, you know, all of the input. And I had to ask a lot of questions because I'm there, I'm with Jamaicans every day. I'll be like, how Bob say this, how Bob say that, how Bob say this, how Bob say that, you know. And Neville Garrick, Bob's close friend who we sadly lost, I was with him every day, you know. So it was just a constant conversation. And just striving to try and just do the best we can with each day, and you know, and then just trust that the work will come through. Donna is the light. She's the light of this film, and she was the light of my process. And Lashana and I had the huge benefit of meeting 6 months before we started. So we were talking about the relationship and the characters for 6 months before we started shooting. So we had a huge head start. And Lashana, she's brilliant in her preparation, and then her work speaks for itself. So we just put our heads together and really tried to bring as much dignity and that feeling of unconditional love to it, you know. And like, sometimes the unspoken says more. So we speak about that a lot. Sometimes you don't need to say too much to feel like, to create a feeling. So we.
Yes, so I think it's safe to say now Jamaicans should be more comfortable now with this red carpet premiere, and you know, having Kingsley Benedict play, you know, the role of Bob Marley, and Lashana Lynch, Rita Marley, because it's not very often, you know, like a small island like Jamaica would be on the big stage in this way, where you have like A-list actors, actresses, you know, taking part in a movie that's telling a story about, you know, Jamaicans, Jamaica culture, you know. And I think because it's Bob Marley, like, they had to go all out. And, you know, it's not very often. The last movie that we saw anything close to this was Stella Got Her Groove Back, with Whoopi Goldberg, Angela Bassett, Regina King, and Tay Digg. And that was 25 years ago. I think Whoopi Goldberg was the biggest name in that group at the time. You know, Angela Bassett went on to become like a mega, you know, A-lister in Hollywood. But at the time, you know, I don't think she was 25 years ago when they did Stella Got Her Groove Back. So to have two, you know, A-listers, you know, like to play this role, it says something, because, you know, these two names are names that will pull millions of Americans and people across the world when you see their name attached to a project. So I feel like Jamaicans should be, you know, more comfortable with this now, and to know that like a lot of Jamaicans were a part of this production, you know, that it was filmed in Trenchtown. So I think, you know, like I'm really excited about it, and you know, it's like 19 days to go before the release, February 14th. So can't wait to see, and I hope it opening week, we can do like $50-60 million opening week. That would be so amazing.
Marley's work and legacy has had such an impact on global affairs. I think Bob Marley's music has been and continues to be the anthem of liberation struggles right across the world. I think his music adds voice to the voiceless, people who have been oppressed. And as the generations move on, his work may fade in the background. So it's very important that we continue to reestablish his work and his impact. And I think the film does this in a very big way. And that the producers and makers of the film have chosen to use the Jamaican backdrop adds the authenticity to the film, the legitimacy to the film. And that the world premiere is here is also significant. It pays a great honor to the Jamaican culture and to Bob's life as well. I think clearly it's Bob's very strong resistance. This idea of resisting oppression, speaking up and standing up. I think that's very important. It speaks to the Jamaican spirit. We have a word for it. It's called taloa. And I think you will see that in...
Okay, so that last interview was with Andrew Holness and his wife, the Prime Minister of Jamaica. So you see, like, everyone turned up to the premiere, from the reggae, dancehall, politicians. We saw Meghan and Harry. So it was a well-attended event. And what is interesting is that earlier this week, probably 2 days ago, I had an interaction with someone in the comment section, was commenting on the Bob Marley movie trailer. And the person was pretty much saying, like, why, why are we celebrating Bob Marley so much? And something about, he smoked weed and weed is a drug and stuff like that. But I realized that a lot of people, even Jamaicans themselves don't understand what Bob Marley meant to that little island, Jamaica. I don't think people really have the full understanding of what Bob Marley really mean or meant or just mean to Jamaica. Jamaicans are proud people, very proud people. Like everywhere we go in the world, we are very proud people. And Jamaican pride, I would say, like, is built on the back of Bob Marley. From cheering for Usain Bolt being the fastest in the world, from Jamaica being one of the smallest country to go to the World Cup, from our music, just dominating all over, to our contribution to the culture, like America culture, Canadian culture, just world culture in general. Bob Marley is an integral part of that. And also people don't understand politically, because people don't know the history. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of history lesson. So just imagine 1962, the Cuban nuclear crisis, the Soviet Union at the time, which is Russia now, and that the Caribbean as we know it now could have been gone because we came so close to like one of the most devastating war that we would have ever had in the history. We came so close to that with the Cuban nuclear crisis between the Soviet Union and the Americans, and the Soviet Union planning to launch missile from Cuba, which is just 90 miles away from Jamaica. That happened in 1962. 10 years later, Jamaica's government at the time was said to be pursuing a socialist agenda, which they had a strong relationship with Cuba. And of course, that would threaten Jamaica's relationship with the US. And in 1976 to about 1981, like Jamaica changed, completely changed. Like it culminated with the 1980 election, which was the bloodiest election in Jamaica's history. In the paper, it said like over 700 people got murdered during that election cycle. And, you know, when the Jamaican paper say over 700, it could be anywhere from 7 to 1,400. That's just the reality of it. And, you know, as a child at the time, you know, I remember living in a place called Seaview Gardens in Jamaica, 1980, 1981, around that time, with the bloodiest time in Jamaican history. And I remember being a child at the time, never slept on the bed, like probably didn't even know what a bed was supposed to be slept on at the time, because gunshots would be just like, you'd be at home and a gunshot could just come through your window at any time. So we were always on the floor. You know, sometimes you get up and you're walking through the streets and you just see bullet holes like through windows. Because at the time it wasn't glass. We had those like metal type windows, lever windows that we could turn up and down, and you could see bullet holes through it. And that iconic symbol of Bob Marley holding both political figures' hand at that One Love Peace concert, like historians, like Jamaicans at the time, you know, believe that that is what saved Jamaica. You know, since that time we have seen what happened in Rwanda, the Rwanda genocide. We have seen what happened in Angola, you know. We have seen close to us, like pretty much our next door neighbor, like what happened in Haiti. You know, so when we celebrate this man that sings One Love, when we celebrate this person, this great, you know, I would say like a gift, not just to Jamaica, to the world. We're not just celebrating him because he's a musician. We're celebrating him because, you know, he's a freedom fighter. He's an advocate for peace. Like everything that's good. So that's why Jamaicans are proud. That's why Jamaicans celebrate the greatness of this legend. And for those who know the history, we know. So that is why we celebrate him. So I'm excited, you know, 50 more days to go. I'm excited. And if you're excited to see this film, if you know, seeing the red carpet and just getting a little bit more information on this movie, I've, you know, excited you some more, just let me know in the comment section. Are you as excited to see this movie as I am? Just, you know, drop a comment in the comment section, and remember to hit the like button and to follow us. You know, we're trying to grow this channel, so, you know, follow us and just subscribe to the channel and help us to grow this channel. So thank you for watching, and peace. I'm out.